You ever look back at the PS1 and think, how did I miss that game? Between the blockbusters and the hype, a lot of amazing RPGs just slipped right under the radar. Some were weird, some were brilliant, most got buried. So today, we're digging through the forgotten shelf and pulling out 10 RPGs that totally deserved better. If you thought you knew the PS1's RPG scene, think again. Now here's a game that came out swinging, even when nobody was paying attention. Legend of Lega didn't try to impress with flashy cinematics or over-the-top drama. Nope, it just decided to make the combat system so satisfying, you'd never forget it. We're talking full-on directional input combos in a turn-based RPG. It was like doing martial arts in slow motion, but somehow it felt amazing. Each character had a grid of moves, left, right, high, low. And if you nailed the right sequence, boom, you'd unleash some wild art attacks. Combat felt like solving a puzzle with your fists. Add to that a weird, mist-covered world and a solid classic RPG story, and you've got a game that hit way harder than it had any right to. Sure, it didn't have the marketing power of Squaresoft's giants, but Lega earned its cult status through pure gameplay brilliance. This one? It's pure Saturday morning chaos, in the best way. Brave fencer Musashi drops a spiky-haired anime kid into a fantasy world, gives him a giant sword, and basically says, go nuts. It's a mix of action RPG, platformer, and anime fever dream. You slice, jump, absorb enemy powers, sometimes all on the same level. The vibe is wild, bright, loud, and not afraid to get weird. But beneath that energy, there's real depth. A day-night cycle, NPC routines, and stat progression that actually matters. Even Musashi has to sleep and eat. Yeah, they went there. The game never takes itself too seriously, but it's packed with detail. And somehow, it all just works. If you want a break from the brooding heroes and epic prophecies, this is your guy. This one's part JRPG, part dating sim. And yeah, that's as wild as it sounds. Thousand Arms throws you into turn-based battles with anime flair, but also lets you take your female party members on dates to level up your weapons. It's ridiculous, it's hilarious, and it's way more charming than it has any right to be. You play as Maze, a flirt-turned hero, who literally powers up through bonding. Each girl you get closer to gives different stat boosts to your equipment, so yeah, romance isn't optional, it's strategy. But don't let the humor fool you. The combat's solid, the art is gorgeous, and the story goes deeper than you'd expect from a game this cheeky. It's got that late 90s anime energy with a ton of voice acting. Honestly, it's one of the most unique RPGs on the PS1, and the fact that no one talks about it, a total crime. Imagine if Final Fantasy and Resident Evil had a stylish, weird little child. That's Parasite Eve, a game that showed up in a leather jacket and said, yeah, I'm an RPG, but also I'm gonna creep you out. You play as Aya Brea, a cop with mysterious powers, chasing down body-melting monsters through the streets of New York. It's part horror, part sci-fi, part RPG, and somehow it all fits together. Combat blends real-time movement with turn-based decisions. You dodge in real time, wait for your ATB bar, and then strike. It's intense, strategic, and honestly kind of ahead of its time. Plus, the soundtrack, absolute chills. And let's not skip the weapon system. Customizable guns with transferable abilities? Yeah, Parasite Eve didn't just break the mold, it exploded it. If you ever wondered what Fire Emblem might look like outside Nintendo's castle, this is it. Tearing Saga is the brainchild of Shozu Kaga, yep, the guy who created Fire Emblem. After leaving Nintendo, he went rogue and made this hidden gem for the PS1. It's got all the tactical goodness, permadeath, terrain bonuses, unit support systems, branching maps, it's all here. Except this time, it's wrapped in a slightly more chaotic, anime-drenched coat. Every character grows differently depending on how you use them. Want a dodgy swordmaster? Train them that way. Prefer a walking fortress with no speed? Totally viable. It's deep, brutal, and totally under the radar. Fire Emblem fans, this one's for you. Okay, imagine a tactical RPG, but you're piloting medieval-style mechs. Yeah, Vanguard Bandits is that kind of weird, and it rocks. The game drops you into a war-torn world where political drama and giant robots collide. You control ATACs, armored machines, each with their own weapons and movement styles. Battles play out on grid maps with terrain, elevation, and fatigue to consider. And your choices matter, like, really matter. Multiple endings, branching storylines, and character loyalty all play into it. And if someone dies, or hates you, that's it. The game leans hard into tactics, but never forgets the storytelling. It's like a medieval Gundam mixed with Fire Emblem, and honestly, it deserved way more attention than it got. One of PS1's boldest strategy experiments, no doubt. This game was never trying to be the next big blockbuster. It just showed up quietly at the end of the PS1 era. blending platforming with action RPG mechanics in the chillest way possible. You've got two protagonists, Rue and Mint, and each one has a totally different playstyle. Rue's all about physical combat and transforming into enemies. Mint, on the other hand, leans into magic and chaos. The stories intertwine, but they play out from different angles. It's short, breezy, and full of charm. No convoluted plot, no grind-heavy filler, just good vibes, clever design, and some surprisingly great level layouts. If you're looking for a game that's fun without being exhausting, Threads of Fate is a little hidden gem worth revisiting. Now this one, pure weirdness, in the best way. Kudelka is like if survival horror and turn-based RPGs had a slow, creepy baby. You explore a haunted monastery, fighting ghosts, monsters, and your own patience. The tone is grim, the music is eerie, and the pacing is deliberate. But stick with it, and you'll find something surprisingly special. Combat happens on a grid, but it's not your typical tactics game. You gain full control over stat distribution after every battle. So yeah, you can totally build a magic tank, or a glass cannon with 0 HP. The story goes hard into gothic horror, and the cutscenes are actually well done. It's also the spiritual predecessor to Shadow Hearts, so the DNA is strong. Kudelka is niche, flawed, and unforgettable. A perfect storm for RPG fans who like things just a little off. This one's a masterclass in how to do classic turn-based RPGs, right? While everyone else jumped to awkward 3D, Breath of Fire 4 stuck to stunning 2D sprites, and it paid off. The visuals still look clean today. You switch between two characters, Ryu and Fulu, each with their own goals, powers, and moral shades of gray. It's not just hero versus villain, you play both sides. Combat is smooth, fast, and full of options. Chain spells, steal enemy skills, or turn into a dragon mid-battle. There's a lot of customization, but it never feels overwhelming. And the soundtrack? Seriously underrated. If you slept on this one, now's the time to wake up. There's even a modern port, no excuses. Think Pokemon meets Princess Mononoke, and then throw in turn-based combat. Jade Cocoon is one of those rare PS1 RPGs that feels like its own little world. You play as Levant, a young cocoon master tasked with purifying corrupted beasts. You don't just battle, you capture and fuse monsters into entirely new ones. The fusion system is nuts. Every monster can evolve, merge, and mutate. No two players end up with the same team. The art style is lush, the soundtrack is dreamy, and the whole game feels alive. Exploration is straightforward, but packed with secrets. Combat's turn-based, but with a monster party system that adds strategy. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it's one of those games that quietly grabs you and never lets go. And honestly, it deserves way more love than it got. If you think Suicaden was big, wait until you hear about Suicaden 2. It's got over 100 characters you can recruit. Yeah, seriously. But it's not just quantity, it's quality. The story is deep, political, and hits way harder than most PS1 RPGs. You're not just saving the world, you're building an army and watching friendships grow and crumble. The combat is classic turn-based, with some cool rune mechanics that add layers to strategy. Plus, the soundtrack is unforgettable, setting moods that stick with you. This game isn't just an RPG, it's an epic saga that somehow stayed under the radar for way too long. If you want a story that feels alive and a world that reacts to your choices, this is it. Suicoden 2 may be old, but it's timeless. And honestly, still one of the best hidden gems on the PS1. Lunar might be one of the friendliest RPGs on the PS1. It's like a warm, fuzzy blanket for anyone who loves classic JRPG storytelling. The characters are charming, the plot is classic hero's journey, and the hand-drawn cutscenes? Absolutely stunning. Combat is turn-based and easy to get into, perfect for newcomers. But don't mistake easy for shallow. There's depth if you look for it. The game focuses a lot on relationships and character growth. It's nostalgic in the best way and full of heart. If you want a gentle ride through a beautifully crafted world, Lunar is your ticket. It's a perfect example of storytelling over Flash, and honestly, one of the most underrated PlayStation 1 RPGs. Alundra's got that perfect mix of action and puzzle solving. It's basically a Zelda-style adventure with a dark story twist. You play as Alundra, a dreamwalker tasked with saving a cursed village. The puzzles keep your brain busy, and the combat feels tight and satisfying. What really stands out is the story. It's surprisingly mature and emotional for a PS1 game. Themes like fate, sacrifice, and free will weave through every quest. The graphics are colorful, the music haunting, and the gameplay rewarding. It never got the hype it deserved, but fans swear by it. If you want an action RPG that makes you think, Alundra is the one to try. It's a hidden classic that rewards patience and curiosity. Definitely worth dusting off the old console or emulator for. Valkyrie Profile is unlike any other RPG you've played on the PS1. It's heavily inspired by Norse mythology and has a very unique battle system. You play as a Valkyrie, recruiting fallen warriors for Ragnarok. Combat is action-oriented but also strategic, with combo attacks and timed strikes. The story is deep, dark, and full of twists, told in a non-linear way. The art style is gorgeous, and the music perfectly sets the mood. It's a game that asks you to pay attention, emotionally and strategically. Not the easiest to jump into, but incredibly rewarding once you do. So it's one of those cult classics that people still talk about decades later. If you want something different from your usual turn-based RPG, this is it. Valkyrie Profile is a beautiful, haunting journey worth experiencing. Wild Arms is like a cowboy tale set in a fantasy world. It mixes classic RPG elements with a Western twist you won't find anywhere else. You get puzzles, turn-based battles, and memorable characters. The soundtrack is iconic. Think country meets fantasy. The story has that good old underdog vibe, with heroes rising against the odds. What really sets it apart is the weapon upgrade system and exploration tools. Every character has unique abilities that help you solve puzzles and fight smarter. It's charming, slightly quirky, and full of heart. While Wild Arms got some attention, it's still criminally underrated in the grand PS1 lineup. If you want an RPG with a lot of personality and a world that feels lived in, this one's a must. Dust off your PS1 or emulator. Wild Arms is ready for another round. And that's the list. 10 RPGs from the PS1 that flew under the radar, but definitely shouldn't have. Some were strange, some were brilliant, but all of them left something special behind. Now it's your turn. Got a favorite hidden gem from the PlayStation 1 days? Drop it in the comments, I want to hear it. And hey, if you had fun, hit that like. It takes half a second and helps way more than you think. Make sure to subscribe too. There's way more Forgotten Gold coming soon.